Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, I see that some people did enjoy the song by Corinne, what is her name? I forgot, Corinne Bailey Rae. She's only one of my favorites, but you get nervous when you're talking. I am Yorel Marshall, and I am the programming chair for Trinity's Women's Leadership Council. And for your reading pleasure, I put on the screen the our mission for this organization. And my personal mission for this organization is to provide programming for all alumni and start making connections and have conversations and offer subject matter that is diverse and indicates that we see you, whoever you are, and whatever your interests are. And with that, I want to present tonight's event, which is in regards to the Mastering Professional Transitions, how to make the next chapter the best one yet. I don't know about you, but I'm very, very excited to hear Michele Saunders, class of '84, talk to us about what that looks like, what that means. Before we get started, there's just a couple of things that I need to remind you of. If at all possible, if you could turn your screen on, your camera, because it is a conversation and it is helpful for Michele to
really?
and see those reactions.
What
But
was
if you
surprising
could
about
also mute so that the feedback and all the connections don't interfere. And Melissa Regan, who is my partner in crime, she will be sharing at the end the email with the recording. Well, not later. She will do this tomorrow, along with the what do you call it? The poll for some feedback. We're really interested in knowing what interests you, what you think of each program, so that we could just get better and better. And if you have any song requests, let me know also. Okay, so with that, I introduce you to Michele Saunders.
Thank you, Yorel. Hi, everybody. How are you? I am so happy to be here and be with all of you Trinity Women alumni. This is amazing. We have a lot of people here. I don't know exactly how many, but there are a lot of people on the screen. As many people that can show me your face, I would love to see. And I'm just waving to all those people I know and waving to the people who I don't know. So I am going to share my screen and get going. And I appreciate you all joining me on this night. And if you don't want to be on camera and you're in your pajamas and cozy, I get it. Absolutely get it. So mastering professional transitions, how to make your next chapter the best one yet. You know, it's really interesting when I thought about the title of this program for you tonight. What had crossed my mind is that whenever we talk about professional transitions, oftentimes people automatically just think headhunters, executive recruiters, the real nuts and bolts of career coaching. Me, on the other hand, I'm not going to be talking about all of that. I am going to be talking about making this chapter, whatever chapter you are moving into, as exciting and motivating and inspirational as you possibly can. And from that point of view, I will explain a little bit of how I do that. And that is, I am a life and business coach. I coach women and a few good men, but mainly women, on developing themselves. And by that, I mean, it can be professionally, it can be personally, but It's all about tapping into potential, tapping into people's hidden, perhaps untapped potential that is there, that I know is there, and that I just help bring it out through my coaching to help people transition and move into whatever phase of life, whatever stage of life they're in, the best they can be and the most fulfilled and satisfied that they can be. And really, as a life and business coach, I focus on mindset and transitions. So I'm coming at this from a very much of a mindset and really at a soul level of making a professional transition. So also when I think about this title, how to make your next chapter the best one yet, I smile because often I notice that on birthday cards over the years, I find myself saying in the birthday card when I'm thinking about what to write, I hope this is the best birthday yet, right? It's always the best yet. So that implies and suggests that there have been many birthdays before, but that there are hopefully many more to come. And however, at this moment, let's make it the best we can make it. Let's make it great. So I am not sure if this particular person is on the call right now, and I'm hopeful that she is. But I think it makes sense to start off with my time at Trinity. My very first friend and first roommate, Nancy, has a birthday today. So speaking of birthdays, a big shout out, happy birthday, Nancy, to start this all off with a bang. So my wish for all of you, whatever you're creating in your life now, is to give it your all, to feel empowered, and to know you've got what it takes to do that. And I believe that everyone has what it takes to do that. So we're all here and we've all traveled the long walk. And there's that really nice picture there of campus. So I'm just going to pose some questions for reflection to start off. And the first question I have is, what has been your journey? What did you create for yourself upon graduation from Trinity? What was your first job? Are you in that now, perhaps? I know what it's like to have started to leap into a position, a job, directly graduating from Trinity. And the one that I jumped into wasn't exactly me, what I would call me, but it was a great start. And eventually, over the years, after chapter, after chapter, after chapter, I eventually, in my 50s, have found my ideal chapter with profession and my professional life. Because for me, and this is what I always hope for everybody, when you are working, if you really feel that it is bringing the best out of you, whatever the work that you're doing is, that to me is a success. And it's truly owning and really showing up and being who you are as a person, even in your work, so that the two just go hand in hand. So what has been your journey? Think about it. And what have you done along the way? Education? What have been your work experiences? People in your life? And what is your current path now? Where did you end up? What is your enjoyment factor? All of these questions I'd like you to just float around and think about. Are you bored with what you're doing now? Do you love it? I just heard a little, I'm not sure if that was someone saying they're bored. Or is it just, it's all right. I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm getting by. So think about this time and this path that you're on. Where are you at with that now? And what is your next destination? What is causing you to pause right now and ponder? Is it a change that you'd like to make into something that maybe you enjoy more? Is it a life transition that you're going through? Is it a move, a geographical change in you're living somewhere else? So therefore you're thinking about a professional transition in a new environment. Whatever it is, your next destination can be wonderful given all the thought and particular mindset that you can put into it. So today, since there's a whole lot to professional transitions and careers and moving forward, I broke this down into tangible and intangible factors. So we all know that if you're looking to grow and move professionally, people right away think of updating a LinkedIn profile, doing a resume, thinking about interviewing, networking. Those are the tangibles. The intangibles are, well, how are you really feeling about all of this? Are you very nervous? Are you excited? Are you welcoming whatever it is that's in front of you? What is your mindset? What is your perspective? What is your perspective about work? What is your perspective about your life? What is your perspective about work-life balance? What are the attitudes and the filters and how you're seeing the world that are having an effect on making some sort of a transition in your life? And what kinds of relationships have you developed along the way that you want to nurture and that you can nurture even more going forward? The overlap, all of this, is action-oriented creation. And I use the word creation, I use the word create often in the coaching that I do, because I feel that it's very empowering. We can create what we want when we have the perspective, the mindset, the wherewithal to just make it happen. So for me here, I'm going to be talking mostly about the intangibles. So let's get going. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's really at the soul level. So this is looking at professional transition from how you think, how you view transitions, how you view situations, how you show up, how you feel about them, how you relate to people in your life around them. Thumbs up, are people with me? As I scroll through okay, great. So a new chapter, we often hear and see these words, a chapter. And is it a cliche when someone says, oh, this is another chapter in your life? Often I hear, you know, you're in the season of your life. Well, it might be a cliche. However, it's not an empty phrase. And sometimes cliches hold much stock. So it's not empty if you believe that we all have untapped potential and unlimited possibilities throughout life. So just think about that. From when you graduated from Trinity to the first jobs, to the years of different meandering, different opportunities, whatever you've been doing. Maybe you took time off, maybe you went back, maybe you did part-time, full-time, whatever it is. There's untapped potential and unlimited possibilities to keep creating and creating and creating until you can no longer create. And upon each experience and each new learning that you take on for yourselves, we can turn the page and create anew. And I think sometimes people forget that. People get set in their ways, feeling a little stuck sometimes, and feel as though there's not much movement or fluidity to be able to say, okay, I'd like to turn the page and create something new. I'd like to transition into something new, but how? With the growth mindset, it's possible. And creativity is infinite with a growth mindset. So what do I mean by growth mindset? So there's growth mindset and fixed mindset. There are many books on this. There's a wonderful book. I have it right here. I can even just hold it up to the camera. Mindset by Carol S. Dweck. And there's a book called The Growth Mindset Workbook by Elaine Elliott Maxwell. So there's so much literature around growth versus fixed. And just in a quick nutshell, growth mindset someone with a growth mindset would look at a struggle as a positive thing. Okay, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Versus a negative. Someone with a growth mindset might look at a mistake and analyze it and learn from it and be able to take something from it, versus just magnifying the mistake as one big mistake, in indelible ink. So with creativity, with knowing you can turn a page, with knowing you have untapped potential, a new chapter can occur. So let's dream big for a minute. Let's take a moment and I'd like you to pause and reflect on your next chapter, whatever that is, whatever it is. You may not be wanting to work at all anymore, and you may just want to, once COVID and everything gets better, travel and just do lots of different things, or bring on great hobbies in your life, whatever it is. So if you were granted a wish that you could create something really great in this next chapter, what would it look like for you? And what I'd love is if anyone just wants to just blast the chat real quick, put in anything. What would it look like? Great new job, your own business, anything. I'm just going to look at the chat box while you're doing that. I'm saying happy birthday, Nancy. Taking on projects that excite me, traveling the world, absolutely. Retiring and traveling, yes, yes, yes. Joining a great new company and building a team, love it. Getting into the medical residency program of my dreams, yes, fingers crossed, absolutely. People in different places ask me to create a personal video for them so I can meet lots of interesting people. Oh, that's really neat. Unity between my passions and career, love this, keep them coming, just throw them in. Because it's so fun for everyone to see what other people are doing too. So yeah, get existing business scaled and running more efficiently so I can be more creative. Figure out real hobbies, love it. So there's a lot that people want to do. And Urel, at this point, could you bring up the poll? I have a quick poll that I'm going to ask all of you to just take 2 minutes to fill out. I'd love to see and have all of us see, with all of these great women on this call, if any of these fall into groups that you are resonating with. I'd love to see what the percentage is. So if you could fill out this poll, we'll give it a minute. So if we were to look at this is interesting. We have, what is your current professional goal? The highest, stay in the same industry. But behind that, shift careers. So some people really want to move into something very different. Yeah, with volunteer and then create own business coming in last place. Uncertainty. What is your biggest concern about creating a new profession? The uncertainty of what it's all about. I hear that all the time in conversations, in my coaching conversations that I have. People are just not sure what it is they want, what's out there, what that might look like. Yeah, it's very common. What level of challenge do you want in your next chapter? Medium. That's honest. Enough to stay motivated. Okay, yeah. And then what steps have you taken? I'm just curious. Some people have worked with a coach, advisors. Some have explored jobs, networked. Yeah, explored personal development. Awesome. This is great. So yeah, so we can end that now. And I appreciate that because it gives a sense for everybody of the various ways people are feeling and thinking and what people are doing and not doing. So let me go back to my presentation, because I think a lot of what you just all indicated on the poll will actually be tied in, connected to what I'm going to talk about here. And hopefully there will be a few points and a few nuggets that you can take away and begin to really address what it is that is on your mind. So why this webinar? As I mentioned, as I'm coaching women, I have heard so often from examples, women who are in the process of retiring, who want to keep creating. They don't want, I've had many people telling me, well, I'm actually going to be retiring this year and I don't want my next chapter to be just nothing or I'm bored. And so there's a lot of really creative thinking to, well, what might that look like? So I hear that a lot. Then I've been coaching women who have lost their jobs, especially during the pandemic the last couple of years, and they want to find something exciting and new. And there's that question, just like in the poll, do you want to stay in where you're at? Do you want something different? So while I'm not a headhunter and I'm not doing the recruiting and all of that, I'm helping women think about, well, then what will really motivate you? What won't keep you up at night, meaning won't give you so much anxiety and panic, but what will make you want to get out of bed and work and have fun and enjoy it. So I've also spoken to women who really just don't like their jobs. They're just not happy in the work that they're doing and they want to shift. Women who want more purpose. They want to dive in and get their hands dirty. Maybe they want to volunteer. They want to see themselves in action and actually pay off with something of value to contribute to the world. And interestingly, current trends right now, I'm sure everybody here, or most maybe have heard of, this whole concept of the Great Resignation. In fact, there was a whole talk about this here with the Women's Leadership Council last week around the Great Resignation. And women are leaving their positions, women are leaving jobs, women are looking at their values and trying to figure out, well, what is most important to me now as opposed to before? What do I want to be doing coming forward? And so all of that, the various trends in the time have really fueled me to create this webinar. And then finally, my story. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story and how I feel so passionate about this topic. So there I am. So my friends here who I graduated with will smile. I think it's funny that it just says history, which I think is funny. Not what kind of history, but history. So of course I didn't share this picture to admire my 1980s blouse, which we all know is lovely, the 80s look. But I graduated from Trinity with a degree in history in '84. I immediately went into, I think that says BS. I don't think it should be BS. So, oh well, oops, let me go back. I immediately went into my first role in banking. And that is really not me. I started at a bank and I was one of those people opening checking accounts and mortgages. And I found after 3 years of being in a bank, while I learned so much and while I interface with people constantly, it wasn't the banking products that I was enjoying. It was really the people that I was enjoying. And so I segued into human resources, and that was another chapter. So I started in the bank. I then went into the human resources area and I learned how to become a trainer. And I designed and led training seminars all over the world. And I had that career for little over 10 years, and I loved it. That was another chapter. In between all of that time, I had this inkling of perhaps becoming a therapist. And so I went back to graduate school, furthered my education, and earned a master's in social work. And then after all of that, married and had children, I decided that I really wanted to be home. And there was a big, that was a big decision for me. And yet another chapter that came on for me as to, well, what will that look like? Leave my career, stay home. What will my days look like? And I ended up staying home for a number of years and just completely devoted to raising our kids and being home with them. And my husband then, you know, we worked it out where he then up-leveled his career and we made it work. And that's another chapter. So as the years went by, I started to begin to think about, well, what is it going to be like when my kids are grown and gone and out adulting? And that is when I started to think about, well, what really is me? What will my next professional transition look like after years at home, years being in human resources, the banking portion first and all of that, social work school? How am I going to blend all of this and create something that's going to truly feel me, Michele? And I decided to further my education and go back to school and became certified in the field of professional coaching. So I merged my values, my interests, my experiences, my choices, all of that to begin this chapter, where now I have my own business in coaching. So the point here is that life flows and we can't predict or control everything, but we can shape our path and we can control how we show up when we bring what we have to the table. And all of those reasons are why I wanted to develop this webinar, to at least give all of you a little bit of insight into thinking about, well, what are the questions you want to start thinking about for yourself as you transition professionally? There is there was a philosopher named Colin Wilson, and Colin Wilson presented a whole idea around achieving success by reaching your pure spirit and who you are as a joyful person. Well, a coach by the name of Steve Chandler, he's a coach, he's an author, he's written many, many books. He looked at the work of Colin Wilson. He developed his own adaptation of this, and he calls it the ladder of consciousness. And what it is it's really a look at how we can shift our minds. And what it does is the ladder is a visual to allow you to shift your mindset from one rung to the next, to the next, and to the next. So if we start on the bottom rung, it's no surprise that that would be fear. So if we are coming from a place of fear, we're really in the mindset of, if for an example, it could be someone thinking, I've been working, I want to be promoted, there's no way I'm going to be seen as worthy, I will not be recognized for skills in another industry, I'll be embarrassed, I can't do this. So all of the fear around that. And the action then coming from a place of fear would be inaction. That's when people feel really stuck because they just don't want to make any kind of a change or move. But if you work your way up the ladder, anger is a way to sort of use the fear, but to use the fear towards something else or someone else versus ourselves. So we're starting to come out of that little bit of that victim-ish thinking and utilizing a little bit more of ourselves to make something happen. And there's resentment. I wasn't ever treated well by a boss I've had, or I'm skeptical about what might be out there, just feeling negative. But as we work our way up the ladder, this ladder of consciousness, and we start accepting accepting where we're at, accepting perhaps you're in a good place, perhaps you have a job that you like, or perhaps you want something else, but you're able to sort of remain in the flow and see what you can find. That's coming from a place of acceptance. Enthusiasm, even more, bringing more of yourself, bringing more joy, creativity, and then pure spirit. So if you work your way up that ladder, what's really interesting is if you are coming to a professional transition from a place of creativity, pure spirit, and all that level, all those levels and those higher rungs, what they encompass, you'll be able to think outside of the box, bring more ideas to the equation. You'll be able to create more for yourself and have fun with it at the same time. So I present this to you because if you think about where you're at, it might be that you're in one of the lower rungs right now, who knows, and you'd like to get there with some enthusiasm and some creativity, but until you're aware of it and until you consciously make efforts and action and new thinking to get there, it's a little bit difficult to make that happen. So what I'm talking about here is that we have thoughts. So a lot of the thoughts that I just stated to you, oh, I'm never going to get a job, or oh, I've had a bad boss, I'll have another bad boss, those kinds of thoughts. We have feelings as a result of those thoughts, and we have actions. And the actions that we take are very indicative of the feelings and the thoughts that we bring to the table. So I do something called, I deliver an energy leadership index assessment. And really what it is, and this is developed from the coaching school that I went to called the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, known as IPEC for short. And the ELI that we call it, this assessment, is an assessment of attitude and energy and how you're showing up. So sometimes, you know, I've heard people call it, it's sort of the 23andMe of energy, and what right now makes up who you are, that makes up you and how you're showing up in life today. So it's a snapshot of your energy, your attitude, your perspective, your views, your filters, all of that. And it really helps when you're looking at how you're showing up in any kind of transition for that matter. And what I'm going to do is I put all of your names, I don't know if you can see this, in this bowl, and I'm just going to pick one out, and this person is going to get a free ELI assessment. I do an 1.5-hour debrief. And if you'd like, the winner will receive that from me, and I'm happy to contribute that. So let's see who we have. The winner is Ms. Hannah G. Cherry, year of graduated 2010. She here? Is Hannah here? Hi, Nancy, birthday girl. I just now see you. I'm not sure if she's here. So I don't know, Urel or Melissa, do you know if she's in the house tonight?
I am looking and I do not see that she logged in.
She hasn't logged in? Okay,
No.
picking another one if she's not with us. Okay, you ready? Dr. Joanne YSG, also from the 2010. Is she here? Dr. Joanne G. She here?
Oh, these two ladies are missing out. We're gonna have to move on.
Yeah,
to the next
another
one.
one. We're going to another one. You ready? Okay. Allison Gutterman, year of 2013. We got to do a little game tonight, you know, keep things moving. Is Allison here?
Wow, there's so many on this call, and the ones that you're picking out, not there. Keep it going, Michelle. Keep it going.
You got it. I got the, all right. Ann Carol Winters, Esquire, 1985. Year after me. Is Ann Carol Winters on? Are we 10 for 10 at this point? Ann is not on.
No.
I'm doing one more and we'll come back to this.
Ugh.
Ready? Georgiana Chevry, 2001, graduated. Georgiana. All right, we're gonna come back to this. Someone is gonna get a giveaway of this because it's a really neat assessment and it's really great and it just tells you a lot about yourself and is really helpful. So 6 steps to success here: timing, purpose-led passion, identity, story themes, beliefs, and fear blocks. All of these will help you in your professional transition. The first one, timing. Why now? I'd like you to just think about why now? What's going on in your life? Personal changes, professional changes. What's at cost for you if you focus on creating your next professional chapter? What is at cost? And what is it at cost if you don't? These are all just questions to think about for the timing that you're at. And there's a readiness continuum. Sometimes we think we're ready for something, but we're really not. I know for me, it took me a while after I was home to figure out when I was going to be ready to go back further my education. It took me a while. Those of you who know me on this call know that I talked about it for a while. And respect where you are with your timing. You will know when it's right for you to move and shift. When you're ready, you're ready. Creating purpose and passion. It's so important to think about what you love to do, but how do we find that? It comes from knowing, or it comes from how you are being in this world, really. Are you showing up? Just like I spoke about with that 23andMe of energy. Open, creative, or are you being skeptical and negative? All of that will help you to find your purpose and your passion. You evaluate your energy. Is it sort of that victim energy? Are you tolerating and just floating along? Are you feeling inspired? Are you tapping into your intuition? All of this will help you find your purpose and passion. There are so many books and videos and amazing literature that I will make sure to give to Melissa to send out to all of you for help with some of these topics as well. That would just support them, supplement them. Honoring your values, thinking about your values will help you stay aligned to yourself and help you create and find your purpose and passion. But have you ever felt this way? Held back, afraid to speak to someone, afraid to network, afraid to apply for a new role? Just think about when you sort of hidden away, what keeps you hidden? Seeing that it's 7:45, we won't put our answers in the chat just now, but think about what keeps you hidden. I saw in the poll that networking and relationships is networking really is what a lot of you are doing. People, people, people. I can't emphasize enough how important it is. And you don't have to be an extrovert to speak with people, to learn from people, to grow from being with people. Connection counts, and connection is so important. And again, there's so much literature around networking and around building relationships. And I can't emphasize enough how important that is for this process. Something to think about also, identity paralysis. And what I mean by that is when you think of yourself in one way and only in one way. So if I had stayed thinking of myself as Michelle, the person in the branch of a bank who opened up mortgage accounts, then that wouldn't have allowed me to move into all of this and do what I'm doing now. So when we have a permanent sense of ourselves, our personality, it makes life very black and white, very right or wrong. And I call that kind of an identity paralysis. There's a great Harvard Business Review article around this and around really feeling stuck and feeling stuck with just staying in one way of thinking about yourself, as opposed to that growth mindset and thinking you can learn, you can evolve, you can flow. So accept life changes and flow, that our lives are not in indelible ink. They are in erasable ink if we want. Take a whiteboard, wipe it off, keep moving. Keep the train moving, as I always say to people. And find, as you're moving, the crack in that image of yourself. Find that crack where you can see a little bit of a window, a little bit of a light where you can find something new to create for yourself. And accept your evolving identity. That's really what it's all about. Your story also plays a big part. Think about all the chapters you've had. I mentioned some of mine. Think about your pivotal moments. How can you draw themes and connect the dots without censoring? Just think about all of them. Do brainstorming. And let your story inform you. Your story really, really can inform you. Acknowledge regrets and then move on from them, because we all can move forward. And be aware and notice of how you weave your storyline and where you are now, whether you're a new graduate from Trinity or you graduated 30, 40 years ago, whatever it is, think about your storyline and where your next chapter can lead. Examining your beliefs, all about yourself, your work, your age, opportunities. Where are you limiting yourself? Where are you holding yourself back? What are internal conflicts that you might be having around your beliefs? And be aware of your negative self-talk, which definitely supports limiting beliefs. I'm too old, I'm too young, whatever that is. And notice who you are now versus last year and versus 5 years ago. Notice your beliefs and notice who you are now and how you've evolved. And fear. Fear is something that just creates a barrier in all. But if you look at fear and you look at what's fiction versus reality, and really realize that you can put the fear aside, you can name it, tell that fear, I don't really need you right now, it's not helpful, and don't let it block you in this transition. So all the filters and all of how people view the world, they all correlate into growth-oriented action. So if your filters are filters that are the growth and willing to learn, open to opportunities, you'll then see yourself in action. So one thing you begin doing right away without limits, you can blast the chat. I'll keep going for the sense of time, but what is one thing that you can absolutely do right now without limits, without limiting beliefs, that you would love to do? Here are a few thought leaders that have their take on how to be successful in any kind of professional development transition. Stuart Butterfield, the founder of Flickr and Slack, said, have an experimental attitude. Marla Malcolm Beck, the former CEO of Blue Mercury, said, remember that you won't end up where you start. So true for me, that's for sure. Deepak Chopra, author and alternative medicine advocate, said, embrace the wisdom of uncertainty. So a lot of you are uncertain. You said it in the poll. Embrace it. It's okay. It's okay. You will be able to bring all that uncertainty to clarity as you just slow your mind down and start thinking of step by step by step. So what would you say now to your 22-year-old self? And if anyone here on this call is 22, what would you say to your 20-year-old self, your 15-year-old self? Think about that. It's interesting where we're at now. What would you say to yourself back then, knowing what you know now? And what would your 85-year-old self say to you now? What kind of advice you think your older self would give you now? There's a lot of questions to think about that really help with professional transitions and making this chapter just the best one yet. We can make movement. We don't have to have floodgates open. We can experiment with new ideas, but that doesn't mean we have to be directionless. And we can be enough without being perfect. So I just welcome all of you to do your work of thinking about stories, thinking about mindset, thinking about all of this. Seek support. Seek support from some of you already, I noticed in the poll, are already. Do personal professional development. Talk to a coach, an advisor, whomever can help you. Believe, experiment, and trust that you have what it takes to create any successful next chapter that you want. And just take one action step. One step. Doesn't have to be 10 at once, just one. So I am offering everybody actually here on this call, and there are a lot of people here, but I am offering everybody a complimentary coaching conversation for an hour just to help you get started. So if anybody is interested in that, certainly feel free to email me. I'll be giving my email information. So that's for everybody. If you want extra help and more help than that, I just designed a program that is, and I'll put all the bullets up here, that I'm keeping small. It's going to be 12 people maximum. It's going to be 2 times a month, 90-minute calls. Your investment would be $675, and that would be gathering for 2 calls a month for 4 months, where I'm going to do some education and training like this, and then leave the rest for coaching. Whoever wants clarity chair coaching, I call it, on the call. And in order to, if you're interested in that at all, I just invite you to send me an email and I will reach out to you. And there's my email. And there's my contact info, all of that. If you want to just grab that if anyone's interested in getting in touch later on. And if not, I thank you. And it is 7:54, so that went a little bit longer. We have a few minutes. I'm going to stop sharing. And I would love to be able to hear any questions, any thoughts, any insights, anything that all of you have. I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger. Unmute, and we have 5 minutes or more, 10 minutes, something like that, to talk. If anybody has anything, thanks so much for being with me. I hope you got a little bit of a nugget or light bulb. Give me a thumbs up if anyone got a little bit of a nugget or light bulb that you're going to take with them. All right, I'm seeing some thumbs. I'm seeing lots of names. Anybody have any questions, any thoughts, anything you want to share? And if not, that's fine too. I get it.
I'll ask a question, Michelle.
Go, Nancy, birthday girl. Now she's on. Happy birthday. My friend, your roommate.
That's very true. I think maybe one of the hardest things in making a career evolution, at least for me, is recognizing that you're good at what you've done and what you're doing, and you're successful at it, but really having a dream to do something else and having the guts to take that leap, give it all up basically, and start over, especially since, you know, we haven't been out for 5 years. It's been some time. And not the fear that it won't be successful, but the whole fear of starting over again. What's your take and advice on that?
Starting over again? Well, I believe that while it may seem like you're starting over from scratch, no one really, even if it's a different industry or a different job, we're never really starting over. That's the first thing, because we're building from where we've just come from. So I believe we take everything that we've done, and all of that contributes to the next step. So that's sort of a reassurance that you're not starting from nothing. You're starting from wherever you're coming from. And then you have to look at that as, well, what is it that I'm taking? And really analyze it and pull it out. And then be able to say, okay, how can I take those factors, all that I've done, and then apply them to something new? And when something is exciting and motivating and interesting, it's incredible how the learning just comes very naturally, and it's easier than one might think. For me, I was so motivated to learn more about coaching that while I had not been officially a coach, just stepping back into a classroom, learning all this technology, all these things that I just hadn't been doing for years, I was able to take my training and development experience, my social work experience, all of that, and say, okay, it's not like I'm coming from nothing. I'm coming from all of that, and I'm motivated enough to bring on more and then move forward. Does that kind of give a little?
I think that's excellent. That's an excellent point. We aren't starting from scratch because we've learned so much along the way.
So much. Even if our majors at Trinity, that's why I laugh when I look at my picture history major. Am I really using all of my history class information in what I'm doing now? I'm not using all my history. I'm using everything about college. I'm using everything about the relationships I made, the learnings that I had in the classroom. It doesn't matter that it's not exactly on point, so we build from that. Thank you. Good question. Anybody have any other question? Anybody feel brave enough to dive in? Anybody want to talk about anything? Any concern they're having?
Hi, I want to say I've been so fortunate to have had the time to attend so many of the WLC events.
Yeah.
And each time I hear someone speak, it reminds me of another nugget that somebody has shared. So when you're talking about telling your story, I was recalling Sophie talking about what is your story, start from where you are, and with Tanya also. So all of these little bits and pieces really start to take hold. They resonate and they make me reflect on things that I might have had a barrier in understanding. So thank you for everybody who's been brave and been willing to share their talents with us, and to hear the stories that we're not alone and we have such a network, resources to pull from is amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. No, I think that's so true. And it's interesting how you can take pieces of what people say, and then all of a sudden they start resonating and it becomes clearer and they tie together. Yeah, I think that's great. And you're welcome. It's really nice. I feel like even though we all don't know each other, there's a common bond. That's why I showed the picture of the long walk. I mean, we all started there, and we can help one another. There are people here who can mentor one another. I mean, there's so many different industries I'm sure that you're all in. And this is a great network that we shouldn't forget about. So thanks, Susan. I'm glad that you're here. Anybody else?
It might be the right time to reshare the poll results, because apparently they saw my Spotify and now they know my secret, where I get the music from.
Oh, they didn't see the poll results?
So I'm going to share that very quickly.
All right. Well, the song was good earlier, so we can.
Can you see the poll results now?
Can everybody see them?
Okay.
Yeah, so interesting how, if we look at, some people want to stay. Yeah.
So this is in terms of the current professional goal. Michelle had mentioned in terms of the highest percentage in regards to shifting career and staying in the same industry.
A lot of uncertainty. Yeah. Uncertainty is okay. Uncertainty does not mean that you'll stay absolutely stuck in a cloud. It means that you just accept uncertainty and then lower the fear, lower the blocks, and allow your mind to think and be creative and open it up. We need space. We need space to think sometimes and become less uncertain. Right? I'm sure we can all relate to that. When you're taking a walk sometimes outside, can anybody relate to this? I know for me, when I'm walking and you're allowing just the space, sometimes not even listening to music or having a podcast on or anything and just walking. It's incredible how the ideas can just come.
Yeah, it's true.
So I just really am an advocate for give yourself space, give yourself time, and allow the uncertainty. It will settle. Yeah, so these are interesting. It's interesting. And a lot of people are exploring personal development and networking. And this is such a great community. I tell my clients, think about where you went to school, all the people that you can just strike up a conversation with. In fact, wasn't college, but where I went to high school, I networked with someone who I'd never met. And that's the person who introduced me to the field of coaching. So it's really interesting, just by a conversation with somebody.
Yes, conversations are extremely important, and being vulnerable,
Yeah.
which we talk about often in regards to, well, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say the other. But if you share your insecurities, you will be surprised how many can relate and will be able to share their story in regards to what other people might seem as a simple success, but they didn't realize, like your story, it made me feel good because I've had several different jobs and I've stayed home with my kids for many years for the same reasons. And I have said numerous times how I did not feel successful, you know, since coming from, I'm a Trinity grad. I should be doing XYZ, but what does XYZ look like? And really the truth is where we are at this moment is where we're supposed to be.
Exactly.
And even when we're saying, oh, it's time for a change. Michelle, do you still want to offer your gift? I have an idea in mind.
Yeah, you could have an idea, or I could just keep picking, and I've got the bowl of names.
Well,
What's
I
your
was just
idea?
thinking that we could do something interesting, such as
Okay.
whoever's birthday,
Oh,
because we
okay.
were talking about, you started off with birthday.
Yes.
Let's see, is on or nearest to September 3rd.
On or nearest to September 3rd.
So is there anyone September 3rd? Let's start there. Anyone in September? Oh, okay. Diana, when's your birthday?
Hi, my birthday's September 21st.
Anybody else to compete with Diana? She got it.
We've got someone in the chat. You're up.
Yeah, Rachel's really
someone in the
close.
chat. Oh no, I missed someone in the chat. Hold on.
Rachel.
Oh, Nina, September 7th. Diana,
oh,
she
good.
got you. That was close.
Is Nina
Rachel's
here?
August 28th.
Oh,
Oh, I see Nina's name, but she's not here.
ooh.
Yeah, but August 28th does come earlier to September.
Yeah, Lori, I'm glad you're speaking up. See, now
Thanks,
that we're
Lori.
offering something, people are speaking up. I like it.
All right, so that's true. So who did we end with? Who did we end with here?
I think Lori's got it.
No, I was speaking out for Rachel because Rachel put that she's August 28th. So I want to make sure that was
Oh, I
seen.
missed that too. Lori,
I think
thank you
that's
for
the
looking
closest.
out. Rachel, my bad, girl, my bad.
I didn't know if you were going back to August or September and forward, but I just
All
put
right,
it
The
in the chat.
closest.
So is it Rachel Walden Cranston?
Class of 96.
Class of 96, the big winner for the Energy Leadership Index Assessment and my debrief. And that'll be great. I will reach out to you, Rachel. And honestly, I mean it when I say every single person on this call, if you'd like to have a coaching conversation,
96.
charge, just email me. Okay. Thank you. It looks
Now,
like we are signing off. So this was fun for me. I hope that you all gain some, like I said, nuggets, 1 or 2 or 3. And I hope you all have a really great night. Urel, did you want to conclude with anything or?
on behalf of everyone, I think we all are saying, thank you, Michele. We really, I think all of us came out or are leaving with at least just one thing. And for everyone that is with us, thank you so much, not only for participating, but, you know, sharing in solidarity in terms of being vulnerable in terms of the information shared. Just a heads up that hopefully by tomorrow, look for an email from Melissa Regan for to receive feedback, but also she will share some of the information that Michele mentioned in regards to resources.
Yeah.
And lastly, March 22nd is the next event, and that is, let me see, because of course I've got so many screens open and I want to make sure that I tell you the correct information. But March 22nd is a conversation with Trinity's female leaders from, now this is wonderful. Listen to the female leaders within the Board of Trustees, Trinity Alumni Association, the Board of Fellows, and Women's Leadership Council. I mean, to see that there are some changes in regards to leadership at Trinity, I believe is significant and that we need to support. So hopefully I'll see many of you guys on March 22nd. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and we shall see you next time. Have
Thank
a
you,
good night.
everybody. Take care.